Welcome back, y'all. You're talking with the AD. This morning I'm driving to work on a nice rainy morning here. Snow is it's melting off a little bit. We've had a heat wave here. It's been around mid-30s. So all that snow we got last week is really starting to dissipate finally. So in mid-December it's raining instead of snowing here. I guess that's the way it goes. On the drive here this morning, we're going to talk about another topic that everybody in the sports world knows, and many people look at it from different perspectives. We're going to talk about playing time. I've got an issue going on right now in my athletic department on this topic that I hope will get resolved today. And by that statement, I basically mean I hope that everybody can come to the understanding. They're not going to like it, but they'll need to come to an understanding. So first I want to talk about the difference in fairness and equality with regards to playing time. Equality in playing time simply means everybody's going to play the same amount regardless of your attendance, your effort, your attitude, your ability, and all the other factors that go into it. Doesn't matter. You're going to play equal. That is the way youth sports should be. We get that wrong on a regular basis because we've got overzealous youth sports coaches that want to be the next Tom Landry or John Wooden or Carol Hutchins. So youth sports equal. When you've got 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 9, 10-year-old kids, it should be about fun, equity, learning, and community. It should not be about weekend championship rings. But the $27 billion youth sports monster seems to say otherwise. On that note, there's a little bit of problem with declining participation rates in athletics, and I wonder if that has anything to do with the rise of travel, elite, select, AAU, specialized when you're age 3 programs. Something to think on. So back to equity. Equity is equal. Your 9-year-old is much better than my 9-year-old at basketball, but my 9-year-old plays as much as your 9-year-old. That's equity. That's youth sports. Should be youth sports. Now flip the coin to fairness. Fairness takes into account attendance, ability, attitude, effort, team cohesion, all the other factors that coaches look at when they're evaluating a player. Fairness, it's fair to play the athletes that are going to make the team, that are most likely to make the team succeed more. That's fair. It's fair to not play the kid who doesn't show up to practice regularly, to not play the kid that is just blunt, not as good, right? To play that kid less. So that's what fairness is. So the difference in equality and fairness, that's something that first needs to be understood by all parties involved. The athlete and the parent. The coach should understand that as well. And what the scale of equity and fairness looks like for that team. So back to where we're talking about youth sports and equity, the younger the age, the more equity should be involved versus fairness. The older the age, when you get up into middle school or junior high sports and high school sports, the more fairness should be involved. Now, the reason we still apply some equity at the junior high level, the freshman, even the junior varsity level, the reason we apply equity is because of youth and adolescent development. I had a mom of one of the young men that I coached when I was coaching, I think it was coach pitch baseball, like 8-year-old baseball. She said it very beautifully. She said, puberty weeds them out. So that onset and outset of puberty timeline for a young athlete really changes things. So you can have, we all probably know stories of a kid that in 5th or 6th grade couldn't ride a bicycle, couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. But by the time they were in the upper levels of high school, they were a good athlete, and vice versa. So it's important at the 7th and 8th grade, even 6th grade levels, you're really applying equity more, because that is still developing all of the athletes on the team. Because like I tell my middle school coaches, you don't know what their bodies are going to be like when they're 17. You don't know what their interests are going to be. You don't know the mindset they're going to have when they're at the varsity level. So develop all of them. I mean, even if it means you don't win quite as many games at the junior high level, who cares? You have to understand that. You have to look at the big picture and see that everybody below the varsity level is developing for the varsity program. So what everyone has to understand, everyone means particularly parents and coaches, the sliding scale of equity and fairness, and this coincides directly with the sliding scale of development versus winning. So when you get too much of a focus on winning at the youth age, you start to increase the likelihood of overuse injuries, psychological burnout, giving parents and kids false expectations for later in life, all sorts of problems. When you focus on development, you get every kid working, every kid playing, every kid learning, every kid growing. You're then setting them up for better success later in life. When you get on up to the varsity level, comes down to really one question that I believe varsity coaches answer. What kids give us the best chance to be successful? So particularly talking about a basketball program, who are the 5 kids that give us the best chance to be successful? Those 5 kids are my starters. End of story. Your kid showed up for practice every day. Your kid was there in the summer for workouts. Your kid, was there at all the meetings. Your kid was there at all the volunteer times. Wonderful. That says a lot about your kid, and those are great attributes. But maybe your kid isn't one of the best ones to make the team succeed. So that's what you've got to understand as a parent and as an athlete. So that's my talk on playing time. I've just arrived at work. You rode with me on my roughly 10-minute drive to work. So thanks for hanging out with us this morning. You've been talking with the AD. Find more at our website, betteryouthcoaching.com. There's tons and tons and tons of resources there. If there's anything that you need, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for your time. Y'all have a good day.